On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, the more affordable version of the Model Y has been spotted in a parking lot and captured on video. I'll tell you about what we now know for sure about what could be Tesla's lowest priced vehicle yet. Plus, it turns out that yes, the new Roadster really is back. A slightly different version of Tesla's Robotaxi service launches in my city, and more. What's happening, friends? I'm Ryan McCaffrey. Welcome to episode 522 of Ride the Lightning, your weekly Tesla and EV podcast. This one publishing on August 3rd, 2025, which means this episode marks the actual 10th anniversary of this podcast. Episode 1 was published back on August 2nd, 2015. And while I have to be honest and tell you that I cannot suggest that you go back and listen to it, because it's probably pretty terrible in hindsight, or at least now, considering that I've had a decade to practice, hopefully improve, and at least dial in what I want this podcast to be. But I did want to stop and mark this occasion. I know episode 500, back in early March there, that was the big milestone in terms of the episode number, and I was very lucky to really be able to make a big, cool, fun event out of that with Lars on 499 and Franz on 500 and JB on 501. I don't have any super secret, awesome special guests this week. It's just me here on episode 522, but it's now been 10 years officially, and I just wanted to say a massive thanks to all of you for listening. Whether this is your first episode, possibly, your 323rd. Now, why do I pick out 323? Well, because I know a lot of you joined me when I interviewed Elon on episode 200, and that was your first episode of Ride the Lightning. Or if this is your 522nd episode, thank you to all of you for sharing in the enthusiasm of these cars and of the Tesla mission with me. I'm going to get started this way. Remember last week when I responded to Elon's comment on the earnings call about Tesla transitioning to being a company that's all about autonomy? And I said that I was worried, maybe I was exaggerating, but I said I was a little worried that the new Roadster might end up being a very poetic, but nevertheless bittersweet full circle moment for Tesla, in that if it's the last new model that Tesla ever builds, that Tesla will have started with the Roadster in 2008 and ended with the second generation Roadster in, well, whatever it's going to be, 2027, 2028, I don't know, maybe just hopefully eventually. But my point here is, it looks like my reaction last week might not have been hyperbolic or crazy at all. Why do I say that? Tesla's vice president of engineering, the aforementioned Lars Moravi, was a keynote speaker at the Tesla/X takeover event last weekend, which I had the good fortune of being the MC for in the afternoon. The organizers invited me back, which I was kind enough, or I was fortunate enough to receive their kind invitation, happy to accept it. And thus, I had the pleasure of introducing Lars when he came out, and then of course I stood by the side of the stage and watched and listened to his entire talk. And so when the event organizers, John and Kelvin, were interviewing him and they asked about the new Roadster, well, here's what Lars had to say.
Oh, Roadster is definitely in development. We did talk about it last Sunday night. It's a super cool product. We are gearing up for super cool demos. It's going to be mind-blowing, I think, as Elon says. We spent a lot of time last few years like rethinking what we did and why we did it and what would make it an awesome and exciting, say like last best driver's car, I guess. Given where our Tesla is going with autonomy and stuff, we know that it's, I don't want to say it's a swan song, but like if we're gonna make this transition to autonomy, like, driving cars turn into like a luxury, and so the Roadster's got to be the best, right? And we've been making it better and better and better, and now, as you know, it's even a little bit more than a car. Yeah, we showed Elon some cool demos last week of the tech we've been working on, and he got a little excited. So.
Now, as most of you know, I record my podcast on Friday nights. And Lars said that what you just heard, less than 24 hours after I had recorded last week's episode. Boy, do I hate being right on this one. To clarify, though, I'm not necessarily saying that the Roadster might be the last new model that Tesla ever makes, but I do think, and I think what Lars is saying there, suggests that the Roadster might be the last new model with manual inputs that Tesla ever makes. It might just be autonomous pods of various sizes and functions from here on out. I sure hope not, but you just heard Lars use the term swan song right there. So take that as you will. In better news, or at least more immediately better news in terms of wanting to drive cars, Lars did confirm that Elon's most epic demo ever post that I was going on about a couple weeks ago was in fact about the Roadster. As I had hoped and suspected, even though as I said at the time, my heart didn't want to totally buy in and believe it, since I've been burned on meaningful updates to the Roadster too many times before. But there is no doubting it now. We are getting a, quote, most epic demo ever, starring the next generation Tesla Roadster at either the end of this year or the beginning of next, according to Elon when he was interviewed via Zoom at the takeover event shortly after Lars's keynote. And thus, everything I said 2 episodes ago applies, which I'm not going to repeat again here, but instead I will just bottom line recap it like this. It means that once this epic demo happens, it means that we get the first truly meaningful movement on the Roadster project since its unveiling back in November of 2017, which will be 8 years ago by the time the demo happens, and it officially puts the new Roadster on what is, in my best estimate, an 18 to 24 month countdown clock. And thus, we can reasonably expect the new Roadster to finally hit the streets, probably sometime between the summer of 2027 and maybe early 2028, or roughly 2 to 2.5 years from right now. So let's finally do this. I am so ready for it. By the way, there was one more Roadster follow-up question from Lars's keynote at the takeover event that I wanted to play you the answer to. And it was specifically about the much talked about SpaceX cold gas thruster package. Take a listen to this.
Fly a little.
We were with. I was meeting with the SpaceX team last Thursday just for a minute. It's a challenge. It's not like if you think about just like fuel to weight ratio of a rocket, right? It's like 90 to 1. 90% fuel to weight and maybe 95 is really great. But when you have a car, it has to do all the car things. There's a little bit more mass there, and you get a separate propulsion system to do the car things. Your fuel to weight doesn't exactly work out to be these high 90s, and that's been making it a bit challenging. But we found some really cool ways to get the mass where it needs to be, to get it to do what it needs to do. And then, it's super fun working with those guys. Like, I think we have a lot of respect for each other as engineers.
That little nugget about the engineering involved in making the cold gas thrusters work on a car is almost certainly the most real information we've ever gotten on the SpaceX package so far, as Lily, the silly Labrador, is just making noise behind me with her crate. By the way, I still maintain that the SpaceX package shouldn't be a package on the new Roadster, and instead, every new Roadster should get it. The reason being so that it is unquestionably the signature feature on every Roadster that ever gets sold, however many thousand that ends up being. Ditch the back seat because nobody wants a +2 tiny back seat in a 2-door supercar, and just turn the area on top of the cold air tanks that are going to go where the back seat would otherwise go. Turn that into a parcel shelf. Maybe put a little window in it that lets you see the tanks underneath. And in all seriousness, I say this because by the time this car comes out in 2027, 2028, there will have been other cars that can do most of what the Roadster without the SpaceX package can do, meaning just the EV part. I mean, Rimac already setting world records in the acceleration and top speed category. You've got Porsche's got a version of the Taycan that can do 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. You've got the Lucid Air Sapphire that's like 1.87 seconds or something. So the SpaceX package is the thing that can historically separate the Roadster. And especially when the entire, per Elon at the reveal in 2017, the entire point of the Roadster is to humiliate every gas car and just be the highest performing vehicle of all time. And the way to do that is to put the SpaceX package on every single new Roadster that ever gets built. And I think it's possible that Tesla will do that here after all these years. I guess we'll have to wait and see, at least until this epic demo happens in what really could be as little as 4 months from now. We're into August. So it could actually, technically, it could even be less. I mean, it could be less than 4 months, 3 and change months, but probably like 3 to 6 months from now, basically, is what we're looking at for this demo. I will be counting the days. And then here's one more interesting clip from Lars from that same interview at the Takeover event. He was asked about whether or not the Model 3 will get the lower front bumper camera now that all of the other cars in the Tesla lineup have it.
You know, in the pandemic, when we had all those shortages, we got rid of all the ultrasonics and went full on vision and got rid of radar. Like, you know, we did that real quick, and then I think we realized there was a couple of blind spots, and one of the most, biggest was right in front of the bumper, because the triple cam, or now the dual cam, doesn't see a couple feet in front of the screen. So we decided to add a face cam there, primarily for kind of slow speed driving capability. And the autopilot system doesn't actually use it. It uses inference to know what was in front of the car before it pulls up. But it's super useful for humans, and like taking that into account and putting it into the FSD system, it's even better. But I think, it was really just listening to feedback from customers that said, like, I really want to see if it's in front of my car. Okay, we'll put a camera there. And it wasn't that hard of a decision to make. And yeah, I guess the first one we put it on was a Cybertruck, and that was like for off-roading. I think Wes made us do that. He's around here somewhere. And then we just kind of proliferated it. And, I guess I can't say for certain it will come in the Model 3 at some point, but like it followed the trend line, it's heading that way.
Well, call me crazy, but it sure seems like Lars is pretty clearly saying yes right there without explicitly saying the word yes. Although then again, when I asked Franz about North America getting Glacier Blue paint back in, March was episode 500, Franz basically gave me the same answer, and that still hasn't happened yet 5 months on from now. But still, I believe both of them, Franz and now Lars, were saying yes without outright confirming it. And I still think we'll get Glacier Blue soon, and I think the Model 3 will get a front bumper camera sooner rather than later as well. I have so much more to get to this week, but real quick, I wanted to mention that I hope all of you who are kindly backing me on Patreon at that $10 per month tier or higher enjoyed this week's Lightning Round mini episode which was me taking a 22-minute walk down memory lane and discussing some of my favorite Tesla memories and my favorite Ride the Lightning memories, my favorite episodes over the past 10 years. A little navel-gazing, yes, I confess, it absolutely is. But you only celebrate your 10-year anniversary doing something in your spare time once. So I hope you'll humor me this one time. But I had fun. I had fun just kind of looking back and sharing a few memories and things. So if you are not already supporting the podcast on Patreon, maybe now you'll think, you know what, Ryan, 10 years, that's pretty impressive. You can say thank you by joining my Patreon, supporting the podcast, supporting me and my family in helping make this thing happen each and every week. To do it, go to patreon.com/Tesla podcast, and you'll see the different support tiers there. They start at just $5 a month. And for $5 a month, you'll be supporting me, you'll be really helping me out, my family as well, and you will get early access to each week's episode, and you will get an ad-free version of the episode each week as well. If you step up to the most popular tier, which is that $10 per month tier, you get the early access, the ad-free, and all of those lightning round mini episodes. There are over 150 of them in there for you now. So if you sign up at that $10 tier today, you've got 150 plus mini episodes, which I don't even know how many hours that is. That's at least, I don't know, probably 60 hours, something like that. It's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff up there for you. Anyway, I won't belabor the point. If you would like to support the podcast, maybe you join at the $10 tier so you get all those lightning rounds, past, present, and future. You can do so on my Patreon page, which is found at patreon.com/Tesla podcast. If you are kind enough to do the once a year annual pledge, you'll get a 10% discount as a thank you as well. Let's get to the main story this week, the more affordable Model Y. We can now end a lot, not all, but a lot of the speculation and curiosity about the more affordable Model Y, as it has been videoed, photographed, and along with it, we now know a ton of details, though again, not everything, namely the price, the range, a couple of key things, but we know a lot, seemingly at least. I suppose I have to caveat this and say, what I'm about to tell you, I can't say is accurate with 100% certainty, but if someone is faking this video and this car, they're doing a heck of a job. So I'm quite confident that this is real. And what it was a Chinese social media user found one in a parking lot that had front and rear coverings, and the entire interior was covered too. The seats, the center console, the door panels, everything except the steering wheel was all covered on the interior too. Why would Tesla do that? If they didn't want us to see it, because something is different. So, what can we glean from this apparent affordable Model Y sighting? Here's a list, courtesy of X account Tesla Newswire Fan, which obviously is not affiliated with Tesla, just want to clarify that. But here we go. First of all, it doesn't appear to be physically smaller. Can't say for sure, but there's a video and there's another Model Y parked right next to this car, and the new one, the more affordable car, does not appear to be a physically smaller vehicle. Rather, it is very much a stripped-down Model Y, similar to the short-lived $35,000 standard range Model 3 from back in 2019. So what do we know? Confirmed, there is no glass roof on this car. Now remember too, Tesla said they were going to do that. They were going to do a metal body-painted roof with the $35,000 Model 3, but they never ended up ditching the glass roof. They stuck with it, but they are ditching the glass roof for this car. However, I can tell you for just as a little slice of Tesla history, if you're curious, wait, is this the first time Tesla's ever not had a glass roof? No, they have done this once before. It was a metal roof was standard on the Model S for quite a while before the panoramic glass sunroof was an option. So in the beginning, it was basic metal roof, no glass on top, or the panoramic roof that could open up, a moonroof. And then eventually Tesla got rid of the moonroof and just made the fixed glass roof the standard on the Model S. And of course, up till this point, it's been standard, or I guess it still is, on the Model 3. And up until this vehicle, it's been standard on the Model Y. This car does have a front bumper camera. No surprise there. It has no rear light bar. So the new indirect diffused light bar that's on the back of the new Model Y, that is not there. That assembly is instead replaced by a painted body panel. The folks at Tesla Newswire Fan say there is likely no front light bar. Now, I have to say that that's speculation because they did not peel back the entire front covering. So can't say that quite for sure. So I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying it's not ultra confirmed yet. Same thing with their speculation where they say no split headlights. We're not quite certain on that one either. So the front lighting is a little bit of a question mark still. But on the interior, here's what we know. It's got regular seats for sure, meaning cloth seats, not vegan leather. Likely, they are not ventilated. Can't say for sure. The entire interior was covered up, but there was a little corner of it that you could see, and it did not look like the vegan leather. And again, why would they cover the whole thing up? So if you're also wondering, well, is this the first time Tesla's ever done a cloth interior? No, it has happened before. S and X had a cloth interior. It might have just, now I'm for sure the S. I'm not sure if they'd done away with it by the time the Model X came out, but for sure the Model S for a while had a cloth seating option until Tesla eventually obviously did away with it. And more recently, you may remember that the Model 3 for the Mexico market has cloth seats as standard. There is no storage in front of the cup holders. That is confirmed. You can see that. There's the wireless phone charger and then a gap of nothing before you get to the center armrest. So there's no center console storage in this car. There is no cover on the cup holders because there's no center console to cover them. Meaning, if you want to picture it, it's a lot like the Generation 1 Model Y in that regard. There's also no second row screen, that we know for sure. And we can see that there is still a single stalk on the left for turn signals. That's confirmed. All right, so that's everything we know. Now, I will give you some speculation that's entirely from me, just based on what we have here. So number one, it almost certainly has a stripped down sound system. I would bet $100 on that. There's almost no way that it doesn't have fewer speakers than the other Model Y variants. The seats might be manually adjusted rather than power adjustable. Can't say for sure, but it's possible they're just very basic cloth seats on manual rails rather than being power adjustable seats. There is likely no ambient lighting around the dashboard and the door panels. Again, it was covered up so we can't know for sure, but why would it be covered up if they didn't want to hide that fact from people before the car is officially announced? And then, of course, it certainly has a smaller battery. It's just a question of how much smaller. Maybe it's going to be 60 kilowatt hours. Not quite sure, but that is, you can take that to the bank. And then I think a manual rear liftgate is also a reasonable possibility. In other words, a rear liftgate that you have to lift up and down on your own. There's no button to push that opens it and closes it automatically. So, looking at what we now pretty well know for certain, as well as what we can reasonably speculate, it leaves the biggest question of all, and that is, how much will this version cost? Remember, when I asked Lars about this at the very end of my interview with him back on episode 499, he said he really wanted to make sure that it was still a good car. Now, the market will ultimately decide that, but a low price can certainly go a long way towards making it a good car, a good value of a car. By comparison, the stripped-down version of the Cybertruck, $70,000. I mean, you heard my opinion on it back when it was announced, and a bunch of you voted in a Patreon poll about it at the same time, and the consensus between your collective voting opinion and my opinion was that $70,000 for a stripped-down Cybertruck was still too much and for too little at that. But in this case, with the Model Y, I would argue that there aren't as many quote-unquote cool features and things that make the Model Y a Model Y that you can strip away, as there were with the Cybertruck. So what I'm getting at is, if Tesla can sell this for $37,500, I think that's the ceiling. That's gotta be the maximum base price for this. But I really think it actually needs to be lower. If they can get it to $35,000 as the base price, I think that alone would make a huge difference in potential buyers' minds. Not only because 35 just sounds a lot lower than 37.5, at least in my brain, but also 37.5 is what you can get a long-range rear-wheel drive Model Y for right now for another 2 months after the point-of-sale EV tax credit. So this is going to be a stripped-down car that doesn't have the range, doesn't have a lot of the features that the current Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive has. So if it ends up being the same price as the long-range rear-wheel drive Y after its tax credit, that's just not going to look appealing. It's not going to look good. I just feel like it's got to be $35,000 or less. That's where I'm sitting with this. We'll see. We'll see what it turns out to be. But I mean, we do know for sure that the battery makes up the biggest part of the cost of any one individual thing that they're doing with this more affordable version. But all of these other things that I've listed for you here, they all add up too. So it shouldn't be too much longer before Tesla announces this thing if they've got test builds running around in public. And really, if you want to ask me, well, when do you think that's going to be? I'm revising my answer slightly. I think previously I thought it might be this quarter. But I think it's going to get announced, meaning posted to the design studio for people to order. I don't think there's going to be any sort of event to see. Come see the more. No, it's just going to go on the design studio and people can order it and that's it. And I think, like, I'd be willing to bet my patented In-N-Out burger bet on this. I think it's going to be on October 1st, literally the first day of Q4. We've got test builds running around now. Tesla has admitted that, and this one has been spied and videoed in a parking lot. So they're gearing up for it. And I just think that Tesla is not going to want to Osborne any Model Y now right here in Q3 when they're trying to sell every car they can. So they're not going to even mention, they're definitely not going to post the more affordable version for sale now. I think they just want to get as many cars sold under the current system with the current tax credit. And then as soon as that tax credit goes away on October 1st, I think that's when they're going to upload this new, more affordable variant to the design studio. We shall see. And then I feel like deliveries will happen pretty quickly after it goes on the design studio. Like, they're probably going to spend the back half of September producing them so that as soon as if they post it up for sale on October 1st, they can start delivering them pretty darn quickly. Now, I gauged your interest in this version of the Model Y in this week's Patreon poll, which again, everybody can vote in. It's open to the public. You don't have to be supporting me. You don't have to be giving me a dime on Patreon. Just stop on by every week and vote in each week's new Patreon poll, which you can do at my Patreon page found at patreon.com/Tesla podcast. And so the question was, does the more affordable Model Y interest you? And with our enthusiast group here on Ride the Lightning, the voting was interesting. I shouldn't be surprised that 29% of you that vote, and by the way, a lot of votes this week, thank you so much. 29% said, no, I already own a Model Y. And then right behind it, 26% of you voted, no, I'm not interested in it with all of these features removed. So that's also a very interesting result. 22% said yes if it starts under $30,000. 4% said yes if it starts under $35,000. Just 2% of you saying yes if it starts under 40, and then 18% of you said no, I'm not in the market for a Model Y, period. So I love the optimism from the group saying, hey, yeah, I'm interested if it starts under 30K. That might be a bridge too far, at least at this moment in time. I hope you're right, because that I'll say, if Tesla uploads this thing, if they make it for sale, whether it's on October 1st or whenever it is, and it's $29,999, that will get a lot of attention and that will sell a lot of cars. It just feels like going from 45K, which is what it's the different version, the long range rear wheel drive, but going from 45K to 30, that feels like it's a little too far to go at this point in time. But I really hope all of you are right. For me, I think, 35K, I think it would do well. Obviously, if it's $29,990, because I forget, that's how Tesla does it. It's $10 under, not $1. It'd be $29,990 or $34,990. But if it's $29,990, that's going to get so much attention and so many orders for this car. So we'll see what happens. Thank you all for voting. All right, moving along here. Speaking of Model Y, they are, of course, what you ride in when you hail a Robotaxi in Austin. And now also the San Francisco Bay Area. Yes, the recent rumors have now come true. And get this, the service area is far from small here in my neck of the woods. The service area for the Robotaxi in the San Francisco area comprises most of the Bay Area, like a huge part of it. And the Bay Area, by the way, is pretty big. You're talking about San Francisco, Silicon Valley, San Jose, Oakland, you got Fremont with the Tesla Fremont factory over there, and 4 major bridges are all included, as are the freeways that we have in this service area as well. So it's a big coverage area. There is, however, at least for the time being, a key difference from when you take a ride in Austin, and that is a safety monitor sits in the driver's seat here in the Bay Area. Apparently, Tesla must accrue 50,000 miles of supervised testing before they can be granted a permit for the next phase, which would be the safety monitor in the front passenger seat like they have in Austin. Full, totally empty car, total autonomous would come after that, obviously. Now, as you know, San Francisco, or you may know, I should say, I guess I shouldn't say you know, because you might not have been here, but San Francisco is in fact a pretty small city. It's 7 square miles. So the coverage area actually is big. It's the Bay Area in total is, I think it's roughly the size of the greater Phoenix metro area, which is huge because it's just so spread out there. But the reason I bring that up, the size of the area, isn't just to make a point of how large an area that you can get a Robotaxi ride, but it's for that permitting that I was just talking about, so that Tesla, they got to get the 50,000 miles of supervised testing, and obviously things need to go well in those 50,000 miles. So I suspect that if Tesla has enough Model Y deployed in the network here, that they'll be able to achieve 50,000 miles fairly quickly, like within a few months at the most. And if you're curious, as I saw, as soon as this was announced by Tesla on their X account, I had people tagging me, which I appreciate. I have not yet been invited to use the Robotaxi network. Although I did, like a week ago, when the rumors were first swirling that it was coming to the Bay Area very soon, I did go on the Tesla website and fill out the I'm interested in Robotaxi form that has my zip code in it. So they know that I'm here, and hopefully I will get invited soon enough and can report back to you on my first Robotaxi experience. But as of this recording, unfortunately, I'm going to check my email one more time here. Nope, nothing yet. So we'll see when it happens. But it is not today. A quick word before I continue from my friends at Accelerate Auto and their XCARE EV extended warranty. They are redefining the electric car extended warranty. They have not only thought outside the box, they've crushed and disassembled the box and built a geodesic dome instead. But in all seriousness, looking ahead, building for the future, it's not anything crazy. It's just what innovative organizations do. And that's why these folks who are former Tesla employees and they are Tesla owners, they developed XCARE. It's a comprehensive extended warranty designed exclusively for EVs. They've also re-engineered the entire customer experience because we all know how bad the customer service thing can be. And I can tell you from experience, it is very good with XCARE. I have the 3-year, 40,000-mile extended warranty on our 2018 Model 3 Performance, which we've used a couple of times. And the claims, the reimbursement, being in touch with them has been super painless, super easy. The reimbursement happens very, very quickly. I do genuinely like this product, and I hope you'll consider it if you're hanging on to your EV past its manufacturer's warranty. By the way, if you just want to cover the high voltage battery and drive unit, aka the most expensive parts of the car if something goes wrong, your vehicle may qualify for that coverage as well. And best of all, because you're a Ride the Lightning listener, you get $100 off your policy. By the way, whatever policy you choose, that's the cool part about XCARE, is that you customize the plan that fits your needs. If you want the 3 years, 40,000 miles that I got, cool, do that. If you want to go 5 years, 60,000 miles, no problem. You can go all the way up to 10 more years and 125,000 more miles, or again, anywhere in between, whatever works for you. But if you do purchase a plan using the one-time payment option, get $100 off of that by using the discount code LIGHTNING. Check them out at xcare.com. That's XCARE.com. Next up this week, Tesla and Samsung have signed a $16.5 billion deal to produce the next-gen AI6. Yes, you heard me right. AI6 chips in Texas. I saw this story on Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, Elon Musk has confirmed a massive $16.5 billion agreement between Tesla and Samsung Electronics to produce the automaker's next-generation AI-6 chip. The multi-year deal, running through 2033, will see Samsung manufacture the AI-6 chips at its massive new fabrication facility in Taylor, Texas, just north of Austin, which of course is home to Tesla's headquarters and Gigafactory. The deal was first reported by Bloomberg and later confirmed by Musk himself on his social media platform X. Quote, Samsung's giant new Texas fab will be dedicated to making Tesla's next-generation AI-6 chip. The strategic importance of this is hard to overstate, Musk wrote. He added that Tesla will work closely with Samsung to optimize manufacturing efficiency, saying that the proximity of Samsung's new facility was a, quote, critical factor in the deal. Quote, I will walk the line personally to accelerate the pace of progress, and the fab is conveniently located not far from my house, Elon said. Well, this is pretty cool. Domestically made FSD hardware coming up. But I think the crazy part about this is, again, that it's not for AI 5, which still isn't out yet. And as far as I know, not even in production yet. Chips aren't even being made. It's for AI 6. And just as we just learned, I should say, on the earnings call last week, AI 5's still over a year away. That was the updated timeline that we got on the earnings call last week. If you go back a couple generations, because that was the first thing I thought of, was like, okay, well, what does the timeline look like here? So, Hardware 3 went from spring of 2019, that's when it debuted, until about spring of 2023. So, pretty much exactly 4 years. AI 4 started running, let me get my tenses correct there. It debuted in spring of 2023, and it's probably going to run until early 2026, meaning about 3 years for AI4. This AI6 deal, by virtue of running until 2033, which is presumably when AI7 is forecasted to be ready to go, that means if we work backwards from that date and work forwards from where we are now, my best guess is that AI6 will most likely debut in whatever cars Tesla is building at the time around 2029. That's my best guess here. Just sometime probably within that calendar year would be my guess. If you're curious, Samsung is making AI4 right now, but TSMC is going to do AI5. So Samsung clearly wanted to get back in business with Tesla, and their new Texas fab certainly makes a ton of logistical sense. And Elon said himself, it definitely factored in to this deal getting done. You know, Elon has talked a lot over the years about having the parts for the cars be as close to the factory as possible in order to minimize shipping and transit costs, not to mention the pollution that comes from that, similar to how Tesla has said that they like to have the factories themselves close to where their customers are for the same reason. I just think it's kind of crazy that Tesla is being this open about the next-gen FSD computer before the next-gen FSD computer is even out yet. So plan your vehicle purchase accordingly, whether you'd like an AI4 car, an AI5 car, or an AI6 car down the road. Alrighty, I'm still not done. There is still more to talk about this week. Next up is this one. Tesla has quietly stopped taking orders for the Model S and Model X in Europe. Another tip of the cap to Drive Tesla Canada, who writes, the change to remove the Model S and X from the online configurator took place earlier this month, meaning July, and comes after Tesla introduced a refresh to their two premium vehicles in North America in June, leading to questions on whether the updated designs will ever make their way to Europe. Earlier this year, Tesla was still taking orders for the pre-refresh S and X in Europe. However, in March, delivery windows for the two vehicles were extended further into the future, with estimated wait times stretching to July or August. At the time, the refresh had not been announced, but hinted at by a company executive, that would be this podcast, by the way, that they're referring to, suggesting the longer wait times was to account for the upcoming redesign. However, Tesla has now removed the Model S and Model X from its online configurator in Europe. Customers in major European markets such as Germany, France, the UK, and Norway are now redirected to existing inventory listings when attempting to configure a new Model S or X on Tesla's website. And as Drive Tesla Canada notes, does this mean the Model S and Model X are dead in Europe? Not necessarily, as this isn't the first time that Tesla has taken its premium models offline in Europe. The same thing happened following the major refresh in 2021, when Tesla halted orders for the Model S and X across Europe for an extended period, leading to a 2-year gap between deliveries. A similar pattern may be playing out again with this latest refresh. So first of all, good stuff from Drive Tesla Canada there. That is exactly the kind of context that you want to be providing your audience. That's what I try to do here, and they did a good job of it on that story. So I personally would not jump to the conclusion that the S and X are going to be discontinued entirely. Because if Tesla was going to do that, they wouldn't have just done a refresh, minor though it was, and I also think they wouldn't slowly remove markets, because remember, this isn't the first salvo here. First, they dropped right-hand drive markets and said they weren't going to make any more right-hand drive S's and X's. Then they pulled out of China with regard to S and X, and now they're doing the same in Europe. But knowing Tesla, I think they would just pull the plug, they'd rip the Band-Aid off. They would just pull the plug entirely if they were going to discontinue S and X, because that's just how Tesla moves. Fast. They move quickly. If they wanted to allocate the resources that go into the S and X elsewhere, they wouldn't have a months-long transition plan for it. They'd just cut bait and move on. Or at least, I'll put it this way, that's what history tells us with Tesla. I mean, they might just have 2025 model year inventory still around that they want to sell through before opening up this 2026 mini refresh to European customers. It might just be that simple. I mean, remember, up to the end of last quarter, Tesla was offering incentives on inventory 2025 S and X to try and get rid of them as the new 2026 mini refresh were becoming available. That may very well be what's going on here, as maybe Tesla doesn't want to have to start homologating small batches of the 2026 S and X for Europe when they still have 2025s sitting around that they need to move. And if you think that I'm just trying to put a positive spin on this and you're thinking, no, come on, the cars are done, they're going away. I'm not trying to just put a positive spin on this at all. What I'm reacting to here is some conclusion jumping that I saw out in the Tesla community that was saying that these cars are definitely going to be sunsetted, that they're definitely going away. Whatever this move is right now, it's definitely not a good sign. I'm certainly going to acknowledge that. It is not a good sign for these wonderful cars that you cannot order a new one in Europe of either one, S or X. But my point is, I just don't think it's fair to go full doom and gloom on S and X just yet. Is it possible that they are being slowly sunsetted? Yes, it is certainly possible. I fully acknowledge that. I just think there's a simpler explanation here, and it's probably that they have, since we know unfortunately, how poorly S and X have been selling, they probably just still have 2025 inventory that they want to get rid of to whatever country, whether that's here or elsewhere. And then once the 2025s are cleared out, they will resume making the 2026 available to Europe. Moving on. This isn't a strictly Tesla story or even a strictly EV story, but I've covered the Boring Company before here, A, because I'm interested in it, and B, it is in the Tesla-verse, right? I mean, what drives through Boring Company tunnels? Teslas. So here's a Boring Company story for you. They have announced a big new project, and they did so via company press release saying, the state of Tennessee and the Boring Company announced their intent to partner on a transformative new private transportation project that will bring the Boring Company's innovative loop system to Nashville, marking a bold step forward in advancing mobility, economic growth, and infrastructure modernization across the region. This announcement officially kicks off a public process to evaluate potential routes, engage community stakeholders, and finalize plans for the project's initial 10-mile phase. The Music City Loop will connect downtown and the convention center to Nashville International Airport with a transit time of approximately 8 minutes using underground tunnels beneath state-owned roadways. Following approvals through this process, construction will begin immediately, with the first segment of the loop expected to be operational as soon as spring 2026. Quote, Tennessee continues to lead the way in finding creative solutions to long-standing challenges, said their governor, Bill Lee. He continued, by leveraging the innovation of private companies like the Boring Company, we're exploring possibilities we couldn't achieve on our own as a state. This potential partnership represents the kind of forward-thinking, fiscally responsible approach that will define the future of transportation in Tennessee. The loop system will utilize American-made tunneling equipment, built and operated by the Boring Company, which designs and manufactures its technology in the United States. This vertical integration supports U.S.-based innovation and job creation while delivering world-class infrastructure at lower cost and faster speed. Importantly, this partnership comes with no financial investment required from Tennessee taxpayers. The project will be entirely privately funded, led by the Boring Company, demonstrating the power of public-private collaboration to solve mobility challenges, there we go, without placing new burdens on state or local budgets. And then they list a few bullet points here about the project. I'll blow through those real quick. Modern connectivity. They'll offer fast underground travel linking downtown Nashville and the convention center to the airport with zero-emission vehicles. Smarter traffic management. Removal of thousands of vehicles daily from roadways and state highways, easing congestion and complementing other transit options. It's tourism-friendly. A safe, cost-effective, and reliable new transportation option for millions of annual visitors, capable of moving thousands of people per hour with predictable transit times. Infrastructure preservation. Reduced wear and tear on public roadways and lower, longer-term maintenance costs. American-made innovation. Tunnels and equipment built in the U.S. using the Boring Company's proprietary technology. And privately funded. No taxpayer investment. Fully funded by the Boring Company and its private partners. And finally, expansion. Possibilities include additional communities and 40-plus stations following the initial route. Well, I have to say, I have been wondering who was going to follow Las Vegas's lead here and do a Boring loop. Bravo to you, Nashville. I unfortunately have to say I've never been to Nashville, but I have only ever heard great things about that city. And now I can add one more great thing about Nashville to the list. And best of all, of course, is that it's privately funded. No taxpayer money is being used for this, so it really is all upside and no downside for the people of Nashville. I mean, you've got to figure that one of the vehicles that'll get used in this when it's done is the Model Y L, at least assuming that the L arrives when I think it will in Q1 of 2026, with this loop's first phase set to open in Q2 of 2026. I guess I imagine we'll expect the Model X down there as well. Probably not the Cybertruck, just because it's so much bigger than the other vehicles, and the loop, the tunnels are not enormous. So probably Model Y L, maybe regular Model Y, and Model X as well. Anyway, congratulations to my Nashville listeners. This is super cool that you're getting this in your city. And lastly this week, in other EV news, Timothée Chalamet has signed as the brand ambassador for Lucid. I saw this via a press release that was written by Lucid's senior vice president of marketing, who says, "We've named award-winning actor and cultural icon Timothée Chalamet our first ever global brand ambassador in a multi-year partnership. At Lucid, we're not just building electric vehicles, we're shaping the future of luxury mobility. That's why I'm thrilled to announce Timothée Chalamet as our first ever global brand ambassador. Timothée is more than a celebrated actor, he's a creative force, someone who, like us, refuses to follow convention. Bold, discerning, and unapologetically original, he represents the same spirit that defines our brand. A longtime admirer of the Lucid Air, Timothée embodies what it truly means to compromise nothing in his craft, his choices, and how he shows up in the world. Later this year, he will headline our first global campaign for the Lucid Gravity, our next-generation luxury SUV. This partnership is not just about endorsement, it is about shared creativity, aligned ambition, and a mutual drive to challenge the status quo." Well, I'm not sure how I got through that with a straight face. I'm not sure how you could write that with a completely straight face. And I'm not trying to poke fun at Lucid specifically here, because the reality is lots of companies do this kind of thing. This is not uncommon. And I love that they call Chalamet a longtime admirer. Translation, he said he liked the car when we offered him a bunch of money, and now we've given him a car as well and a bunch of money. But seriously though, is Timothée Chalamet now contractually obligated to drive a Lucid, be it the Air or the Gravity? And if he is it a certain number of miles per year, or does he have to drive it to a certain number of Hollywood events to hopefully get photographed in it and have that photo run in People magazine and on TMZ? Like, I guess he's doing an ad campaign, right? He's doing multiple photo shoots for this. That's what he's doing, in addition to maybe driving around in a Lucid that they probably gave him for free. But hey, get it, Timothée. Get it. If you can get yourself a free Lucid and a fat check, do it. More power to you, sir. But seriously, like, all right, one more half jokey thing. I work with PR people every day. It's just a big part of my job. And what I can very confidently say is that I would be very confident saying that Timothy's publicist probably had to approve this press release. And I bet you that the words that were in this were different than the words that were in the first draft. Like, when the publicist gets the draft of this, the publicist probably goes, "No, how about bold, discerning, and unapologetically original? Like, we like that better." Because those three adjectives may well have started out the press release as three totally different other adjectives. But again, okay, seriously, good for Timothée Chalamet. I would love to be paid to drive a Lucid or a Tesla or anything that nice as those cars. But What the real reason I wanted to mention this, sure, it's a little fun. We have a little bit of fun with it, but this is the kind of more mainstream advertising that does help drive awareness. And that's, hey, Timothée Chalamet's he's on the A-list right now. So Lucid signing him for this, it is mainstream advertising, and it will help drive awareness in the Lucid brand. I'm not saying that Tesla should also just go partner with some actor, but I do think that this stuff matters when you're trying to tell people about your brand and what you're all about and get the word out. And I continue to personally believe that Tesla really should start to craft some kind of mainstream advertising campaign specifically built around the unrivaled safety of the entire Tesla fleet of vehicles. Who knows? I mean, maybe this Timothée Chalamet thing won't move the needle for Lucid at all, but I suspect it is going to be worth the six-figure, or I don't know, maybe low, I don't know what these things pay, but I suspect it is going to be worth the investment. It's going to be worth the check that they're cutting to Timothée Chalamet for Lucid on this. All right, let's move right along to the Ride the Lightning hotline. This is your chance to call in and potentially be featured here on the podcast. If you've got a Tesla or EV-related question, comment, or discussion topic and you'd like to call in, there are two easy ways to do that. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question, and please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many callers each week as possible, and then email that file to me at my podcast email address, which is teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less call and actually call in on the Ride the Lightning hotline and leave a message. You can do that anytime, day or night. It's a toll-free number, and the number is 1-888-989-8752. That number again, 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up this week is Andy from Columbus, Ohio.
Hey Ryan, this is Andy from Columbus, Ohio. I'm calling to let you know that our local service center is now doing CCS retrofits. That's for older cars that aren't compatible with the newer charging technology, the CCS adapter, etc. I discovered this scheduling a service appointment for our 2018 Model 3 and saw it as an option in the app under upgrades and accessories or something like that. The update was $330 and, to my surprise, included a CCS adapter. And it worked. Another thing I notice with this update is that the car will now charge using a third-party NACS connector. So a ChargePoint DC fast charger near us was recently updated to have those NACS connectors. Before this retrofit, it did not work, but after the retrofit, it worked. Well, I hope that helps someone if they're still hanging on to their older Model 3 like us and want some additional charging options. Thanks for the podcast, Ryan.
Great PSA here, Andy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sending this in, and you were super nice to include all the details like the price and where to find it in your app when requesting service. I have nothing to add to this. This was a great PSA from you. Just want to play it for everybody in case it's of interest to anybody else out there. Safe travels, Andy, and thank you so much for this call. Next up this week is Doug from Montreal with a question and a suggestion as well.
Hey, Ryan, this is Doug from Montreal this time of year. I have a question for the group and a suggestion. A couple years ago, I was driving, and for some reason, my credit card failed out of the supercharger. And though I got the message that supercharging was blocked until I paid the bill, it was like just $10 or so. So I was, on my app, I was able to switch to another credit card. paid the $10 bill, and then switched back again to the credit card I wanted to use. No big deal at all. Today, my wife was driving separately from me and her car, which is registered to her account, and she had the same issue with a different credit card. For some reason, credit cards fail, I guess, every now and then. So I was trying to fix it for her because she's not so adept at doing that. And I was trying to do it on the computer. Wasn't able to do it. The only way I was figuring out how to do this as she was panicking was to delete the Tesla app from my phone, set it up again, and setting it up as if I were her. So fortunately, I had not only her username, password, but authentication codes. And then once I set up the app on the phone, I could then switch to credit card and pay the bill. It seems like a lot of things to go through. I think Tesla should give us $100 grace or something rather than just shutting it off in the middle of a drive. I mean, come on, if we're buying all these cars, seems like they're not going to worry too much about a few dollars here and there as long as it's paid in a short order. So if anybody from Tesla is listening to this podcast, maybe they would consider doing that. Just give you $100 margin and give you a few days to figure out how to do it. Thanks so much. I love the podcast and hope all is well. Bye-bye.
Hi, Doug. Well, I'm sorry to hear about what sounds like a stressful experience for both you and your wife. I like your suggestion of giving some grace on that, but maybe another solution could be allowing you to put a backup method of payment on file, be it a credit card or a PayPal account or something. That way, if there's an issue with the primary payment method, the system can automatically just move to the backup method of payment on file and make sure that you're able to get the juice you need at the superchargers while you're out on the road. So let's hope Tesla's listening on this one. Thank you so much for your call. I've got time for 2 more calls this week. Next up is Dave from Annapolis, Maryland. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Ryan. It's Dave H. from Annapolis, Maryland. Might have a first for Ride the Lightning because I actually rode the Lightning over the weekend as one of our Teslas, 21 Model Y in this case, got hit by lightning. Nice, cool burn mark on the car. You can see where it hit the car and where it exited the car. Obviously, the car's not working. It's towed over to Tesla. I was probably doing 74 miles an hour. I'd say it's a good thing I wasn't doing 88 miles an hour because I'd be thrown in the future or the past without a working car and no way to find Doc Brown. Anyway, I'll try to keep you updated if you're at all curious about what happens when a Tesla is hit by lightning. I can say it's very loud, and I can say I was listening to Duran Duran, and it never skipped a beat. But it did shut the car down and force me over to the side of the road, but the stereo was still working. Impressive. Anyway, more on this later once I learn more after Tesla calls me back.
Dave, thank you for your call, and I really appreciate you sharing this crazy story with me. By the way, Dave followed up with another email and sent me pictures. White Model Y, black scorch mark on the C-pillar. It's crazy to see. Now, first, Dave, I'm glad you're okay. Second, I would definitely be curious to hear what damage the lightning bolt actually did to the car. And by the way, if you had been sent back to the 1800s, I double-checked my elementary school history knowledge, and electricity was invented in 1821. So if you were sent back to 1885, as Doc Brown was, you'd be fine. As long as you just didn't go back too far in the 1800s, you maybe could have found Thomas Edison and or Nikola Tesla, and maybe they could have helped you try to get back home in your time-traveling Model Y. Of course, you'd have seriously messed up the future in the process by showing those guys your car, but anyway, that's never mind. Maybe you would have made the future better by showing those guys a Model Y when they were alive and still inventing things. Who knows? Anyhow, seriously, thank you, Dave, for sending me those pictures and sharing this crazy story. Dave has promised to continue sharing updates with me once Tesla service digs in and finds everything that went wrong with the car as a result of this lightning strike. So I'll look forward to your next update, Dave. Thank you very much. One more call this week, and it comes from Mark in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
Hey Ryan, this is Mark from Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. Got a question after listening to the earnings call. So there was a question that got asked to Elon about when he thought full self-driving or the Robotaxi service would be available in our cars. And he gave his timeline of sometime next year. He's not sure when. My question is, I am in the Army, and I have to show an ID when I go through the gate to get on post. How do you think this would get solved so that folks like us that live on a military installation could use the Robotaxi service? Because obviously there isn't a way for that vehicle to show an ID or even, be stopped at the gate and have to do like a security check where the security guards can check the trunk or the frunk or whatever, which happens randomly. So just curious what your thoughts are. Thanks so much. Please give the dogs a pat. Cheers.
Mark, hello. Thank you for your call, and far, far more importantly than that, thank you for your service. So to respond to what you've called in with here, when we get to the point where unsupervised FSD is in our cars, I think the way this might be handled, this situation that you lay out, would be, assuming you're not in the driver's seat and you're lounging in the back where you can't just intervene and put the car in park at the security checkpoint, I think how it's going to go is you would press the pull over button on the second row screen, or if you don't have a second row screen in your car, on your Robotaxi app. If it's just an ID check that they're doing at your security gate, presumably the car should stop at the lowered gate arm. Then you roll down your window, flash your ID, and then when they clear you and the gate arm raises up, the car should just continue through along its designated path on its own. But I think, in short, the pull over button on the screens or on your app should be the solution here, I think. I hope that helps. Thank you so much again for calling in. And that'll do it for the Ride the Lightning hotline on this week's episode. But please do keep your phone calls coming. I love hearing from you, and I will play more of your phone calls on pretty much every episode. That's if you've been listening for a little while, you know that it's just about every week I play at least a few phone calls, and I will continue to do that because I love hearing from all you guys. Let me move straight now to what's happening with my car, the Soul of Adventure. Well, I have to say, the Tesla Takeover, the X Takeover event was super fun. It was in my neck of the woods, which was very convenient for me. I only had to drive about 25 minutes to get there versus the last couple of years where it's been in San Luis Obispo and I've had to drive about 3.5 hours each way to get there. But I really liked the space. There were a ton of interesting Teslas, some just super modified cars, a ton of different Cybertrucks, most of them very modified and customized as well. A lot of the vendors were there. Like, it was my first chance to see the new indestructible wheels that Unplugged Performance has rolled out. They had them on a Model Y there. I thought they looked pretty nice. They were nice looking wheels. Usually I'm not a big aftermarket wheel guy. Like, I just tend to not think the look of most aftermarket wheels matches up to the car. I tend to prefer what the designer intended. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's just to say that I really liked seeing those new Unplugged Performance wheels on an actual car in real life at their booth. That was really cool. I had a lot of really nice people say hello to me and say they enjoy the podcast. That is always extremely humbling, and I'm super grateful to everybody that took a minute to say hi to me. As I said earlier, I had a wonderful time emceeing the afternoon. I got to introduce Lars, and I got to say hi to him for a minute backstage. No real deep conversation there, but it was nice to see him again because that's the first time I've seen him in person since our interview back on episode 499. And yeah, just a great event. I certainly, if you've got an active Tesla owners club in your area, I encourage you to attend an event sometime. I'm not saying just become a regular and go to everything, but if you haven't tried it out, go to a Tesla owners club event that your local owners club puts on. It's just nice. It's nice to hang out and chat with people where, you've all got something in common, something that you're all enthusiastic about. So I definitely encourage it. And this was a really well put together event. Tip of the cap to John, to Kelvin, to all the organizers of the show for pulling it off again. I think this was their 4th year already of doing this. Also, I'd like to shout out an interview from another Tesla friend of mine. She's been on this podcast. In fact, she was on fairly recently, Kim Java, who was here talking about her experience with the first day of the Robotaxi in Austin. Well, she has a new interview on her channel with Martin Eberhard. Now, if you're not familiar with that name, Martin is one of the original co-founders of Tesla, who eventually wasn't in the company anymore after some time, but he got it started. He's the guy. He's one of the original guys, and he's got some very bold opinions on where Tesla's going and what he thinks of the company and of the cars and of just a lot of different topics that I think you'll find interesting. It's about a 50-minute video, but I watched it and it flew by. And Kim did a great job of interviewing him. And so I would encourage you to go to the Kim Java YouTube channel and check out that interview with Martin. Here's an entertainment recommendation of the week. It's kind of a half recommendation because I didn't love this, but I enjoyed watching it, even if it wasn't necessarily that great. And I'm talking about Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix. Comedy sequels made decades later to classic comedies have a pretty bad track record overall, like pretty bad. But this one, I have to say, it had some heart to it. And I certainly laughed here and there. Is it as good as the original? Certainly not. I don't think anybody at all, even Sandler himself, was expecting that. But it was an enjoyable watch. So if you love the first Happy Gilmore, the second one's got some heart. Give it a look on Netflix if you're interested. And then a pro tip of the week. It's time for that. And our pro tip of the week this week comes from Jonathan in Atlanta.
Hey, Ryan, it's been a while since I've called in, but I think I do have a pro tip of the week that at least hasn't been mentioned for a while. And my pro tip is when parking on a pretty steep inclined surface, we do have a parking brake. And so it just helps to secure the car a little bit better. And that parking brake is basically, it's the same button we use to get the car in park. But if you hold it about 2 or 3 seconds longer, you'll hear a second engagement of the actual parking brake. So I hope that helps people who, live on a steep driveway or have to park on a pretty significant incline. And this is Jonathan from Atlanta/Sonoy, Georgia.
Thanks, Jonathan. I personally use this one a lot since I live on a hill and just am in San Francisco in general, which is a very hilly town. So great suggestion here. I think this is one of those tips I've probably played before, but even if I have, it's been long enough that it's good to cycle it back through for newer listeners or for anybody that may have forgotten it whenever the last time I played it was. I'll even add on just a little bit, just a little tiny thing to your call here. So you won't just hear the parking brake engage when you hold the button. You will see a red park icon in all caps appear on your screen that will indicate and confirm that the parking brake has indeed been activated. So, Jonathan, thank you very much for this one. I super appreciate it. and I can always use more good Tesla and EV pro tips. I play one of these near the end of every podcast, so if you've got one, I would love to hear it, and the way to call in with it is the same way that you call in, like it's a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call, and I gave you the 2 easy call-in methods for that a little while ago. Before I sign off from this 10th anniversary episode, I wanted to mention some friends of Ride the Lightning that can hopefully be useful to you, maybe today, maybe next week, maybe next month or next year, but at some point down the road. I will start with abstractocean.com. They've got a million great aftermarket accessories for not just all the Teslas, but Rivians as well. The Cybertruck products, I'm told, have been super popular. So those of you with Cybertrucks, they've got the custom cut XPEL PPF pieces for the non-stainless pieces of the truck. So the bumper trim, the wheel arches, just the tailgates, like high scratch, high impact areas. If you want to keep them looking nice, they're very easy to install yourself. Just go to abstractocean.com and click on the Cybertruck at the top of the page and choose whichever pieces you like, and they'll get shipped right out to you, and you can get them installed yourself. And I've got a coupon code for 15% off of your first order. This also applies to anything that Abstract Ocean sells, not just the Cybertruck XPEL armor pieces, but also all of their excellent lighting kits that come in different colors and brightnesses, puddle lights, all that kind of stuff. And then the tempered glass screen protectors, custom fit for each of the Teslas as well. I highly recommend that. They've just got a ton of great stuff. Go take a look. Again, it's abstractocean.com. Get everything you like into your online shopping cart, and when you get to checkout, use the coupon code RTLPodcast to get 15% off of your first order. That code again, RTLPodcast, all one word, no spaces. Meanwhile, if you either want or are legally required where you live to have a front license plate on your car, I highly recommend taking the one that Tesla gave you and, well, not throwing it in the garbage, but just setting it aside, maybe putting it in the garage somewhere, and get yourself a snap plate or the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus. They have them for all 5 Teslas. This is the front license plate bracket that snaps on and off in seconds, but when it's on, it is on there very securely. And if you want to take it off, either for cars and coffee, or you're doing some detailing, or whatever it is, it will leave no unsightly hardware behind. When it's on, it is a really nice minimalist design that blends really nicely with the Tesla front end when it's installed. Make those fix-it tickets go away for those of you who, like me, hate having to use a front license plate. But hey, if you love a front license plate, also a good reason to get the Snap Plate or the stronger Snap Plate Plus. Both are made from recycled, made in the USA plastics with stainless steel reinforcements. Get yours at everyamp.com/RTL, or just click the link in the episode description. And for a discount, use the coupon code RTL. How about Immaculate Reflections? If you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area with your Tesla or another car that you love, I highly recommend that before you make your way to the Bay Area, you reach out through the website, irdetailing.com, and schedule a spa day for your car, because there is a summer special that continues to run, $200 off of any paint correction service, $500 off of any ceramic coating package, and 15% off of any paint protection film package. Again, 15%, I've said this before, but that might not necessarily sound like a lot, but if you're just doing a front end PPF, that's a solid couple $100 off. And if you were to go crazy like me and do a full body PPF, you're saving over $1,000 right there. So thank you to Jeff at Immaculate Reflections for extending these very generous discounts. It's just for you guys. It's just for the Ride the Lightning audience. This is not a thing that he has for anybody else. This is just for you. Immaculate Reflections, irdetailing.com. When you contact him through the website, make sure to mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener. One more time for my Patreon, if you don't mind. Again, it's a free podcast, always has been, always will be, but you and your support are the reason that I'm able to continue doing this every single week, literally without ever missing a week. It's because of your generous support. So here at the 10-year mark, if you've considered it, maybe this is the time that you'll think, okay, 10 years, wow, that's awesome. I'd like to support you, Ryan. You can do so at patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Again, or you can just click the link in the episode description. And from there, you'll see all the different support tiers and all the different perks and bonuses that are attached, to each tier. The most popular tier being that $10 per month tier that gets you all the Lightning Round mini bonus weekly episodes, as well as an ad-free episode and early access each week. So check it out, patreon.com/Tesla podcast. If you're not already following this podcast on your preferred podcast feed, I recommend you do that because A, it's free, B, it means that anytime there's a new episode, which is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, you'll get a push notification on your device reminding you about the new episode, and then all you got to do is tap the notification, and it'll take you straight to your podcast app, and you'll start listening. It's easy as that. So the way to find me and follow me on your favorite podcast service is just search Ride the Lightning Tesla. When it pops up, just click follow, and you're good to go. I'm on Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube Podcasts, and more. And if you'd like to email me about any Tesla or EV-related thing, you can do so at teslapodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on X and or on Instagram. I have the same username on both, and that username is DMC_Ryan. And email me anytime. It's nice to hear from you. And as Lily the Silly Labrador gnaws away on a deer antler behind me, if you happen to be hearing that, I now wish to say a big hello and a big thank you to the top tier Patreon backers. The August Patreon Zoom Hangout is tomorrow. As I'm recording this, it's going to be August 2nd. So I'm hoping to see and chat with a bunch of the folks I'm about to name. I'll start with the Maximum Plaid backers. Thank you and hello to Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Clayton Goodfellow, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, Nick Jacoby, and Chip Hooper. Next up, the Roadster in Space tier backers. These folks, in addition, they get everything, capping out at a one-on-one hangout with me every month if they elect to choose it. I just got done chatting the other day with Lawton from Chicago. We always have a great conversation. So thank you, Lawton, for your continued support at the Roadster in Space tier, along with Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, who I also just chatted with last weekend as well. And again, the time flies by. We always have a great conversation. Kara Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, who I'm chatting with this weekend, and Tony Figueroa. And then finally, the grandfathered in plaid level supporters. Big thank you to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And that'll bring me to the end of episode 522. 10 years officially in the books, on to the next 10 years. And man, yeah, I mean, if I were to go back in time to my episode 1 self and say, here's everything that happened to you in the time you've done this podcast in terms of interviewing Elon, interviewing Franz 3 times, interviewing Lars, getting to go to all these Tesla events, winning 2 supercars if they ever get built. It's pretty wild. I'm not sure that my 10 years ago self would actually believe that. So it's been a heck of a ride. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I have no intention of putting my microphone down anytime soon. I'm having a blast doing this podcast. I'm so grateful for your support. Those of you on Patreon, I'm so grateful for your time, your attention. And I guess I should just mention real quick now, next week, episode 523, I will be away on vacation with my family. So as always, I've got new content ready to go for you. And as usual, it is a lengthy interview with a notable person in the Tesla community. I had a really good time chatting with this person. I hope you'll enjoy the interview that I've got prepared for you for next week. And then the week after, 524, I should be back. That's the plan. I'll be back and back to the regular Ride the Lightning format. But hope you'll enjoy the interview episode next week. And I thank you very much for allowing me to step away with my family here and just get a little recharge time where I'm not thinking about my day job and I'm not thinking about Ride the Lightning. I'm just relaxing, just decompressing, recharging, and having some quality time with the family. So with that being said, happy electric motoring, my friends, and I'll see you back here next week.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.